So I was reading the Jesus Storybook Bible the other night with my two oldest kids. My daughters, Lucy and Zoe, are 6 and 3 years old, respectively. And so I pulled them into my lap, and we cuddled together on the couch, and we began to read the story. And the entire first section of the Jesus Storybook Bible, if you're familiar with it, is about how the Bible is a story. Not a history book, not a set of rules, but instead an adventure story, a love story, a big story of a God who loves us and comes to rescue us. And so as I had them there in my lap and began to read this first section of the book, I got to this place where tears began to stream down my face because there's this line, and I want to share it with you this evening. And it says this: at the center of the story, there is a baby. Every story in the Bible whispers his name. He's like the missing piece in a puzzle, the piece that makes all the other pieces fit together, and suddenly you can see a beautiful picture. I was so moved by that line, and here's the reason why. God hasn't stopped writing that exact same storyline ever since the completion of the Bible over 2,000 years ago. He is still in that same business, and he is writing his story through my life and through yours. I've experienced a lot of garbage in my life. I've tasted from a really bitter cup and experienced more heartbreak than I wish that I ever had to partake in. I'm the daughter of an alcoholic, and I danced the dance of alcoholism with my daddy until the day that he died in my late teens. I'm the sister of an addict who, by the grace of God, is now in recovery. I'm the mother of a daughter who died tragically in my arms. And I'm a missionary who's been serving in communities of violence and sickness for the last 10 years. But here's the thing, I'm also a daughter of the King, the master storyteller who has weaved his redemption, hope, wholeness, healing, renewal, and restoration deep down into every crack and crevice of my life and brought me back to life on days that I believed that the sun would never shine again. And here's the crazy part. He's used the broken things in my life to resurrect hope in the lives of the people around me and in communities I once never even knew the name of. Allow me to encourage you tonight with something that a friend once told me after the death of my daughter. She said this to me: shit happens, but then God goes to work to redeem it. So if you're in a chapter tonight where you're experiencing some hurt or you're holding a heavy and hard thing, if there's something, a thing that is pulling you into pieces, something that you don't feel like you can possibly bear, then I want you to hear this. The story is still being written. The writing is underway on that thing, whatever the thing is. The Redeemer of our stories of both the good and the bad is still writing a perfect and beautiful story in your life. And so as I was reading this with my daughters, the tears just began to flow down my face, because if there's one thing that I want my kids to know as they grow up, it's this: God redeems all things. Even the terrible, awful, no good, really bad things and days, he redeems those too. And the redeeming of it is important because their stories are part of the master story. They're part of the storyline that God has been writing throughout all of history, the only storyline that's ever mattered throughout all the generations, the storyline of I love you. May we be a people who carry that message forward fully. May we incarnate it in our stories, in the good, but especially in the bad.